Hey everybody, we're going to dive into a analysis of 5 towns in Bergen County. I'm Stacy Esser, your local real estate expert. We're going to do things a little differently this month. Today we're going to take a quick check of comparative data for 5 towns. I always feel like it's super interesting to look at what's happening in multiple towns. It gives us some relevance when I speak specifically to your town or specifically to Bergen County. People are kind of like, well, what's going on in all these other towns? So we just took a quick look at Tenafly, Demarest, Oradell, Hackensack, because I really wanted to pull in what's happening with the condo market, and Cresskill. Overall, we're seeing pretty consistent trends with a few of these towns, but one of them is absolutely shifting into more of what I call like a neutral market. So Tenafly, for instance, is selling 73 over ask, 43 days on the market, 1.52 months. Demarest is also in a super tight inventory market. Oradell started a little bit later, but they picked up a lot of speed. So they're now in a strong, like high velocity, strong sellers market. Their market happens a bit later than, like, for instance, the Tenafly, Demarest, Cresskill area does. Hackensack is definitely more of like a modest neutral market. And that's because the condo market is really not performing the same way as the single family residences are. And also because Hackensack just has a lot of supply. I don't know if you all have been, if you've driven near Hackensack for a while, but there's a lot of inventory in that condo market, and there's a lot of people offering a lot of specials. There's a lot of rentals in there as well. So it's just a very mixed market with a lot of supply. Cresskill, on the other hand, is definitely seeing a bit of a shift, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because we just don't really know when that's going to happen for all of the rest of the markets. We're seeing it a little bit more in Cresskill, but there's some uniqueness when you start to look at the data, and this is such a good thing to mention. When you start to look at the data and you see that more inventory is piling up, or you see more months of supply, which essentially just means to taking a bit longer to go through the inventory, I think it's always really important to sort of dive down into what that data is actually saying. So we're going to do that with Cresskill. So Tenafly is absolutely in a strong market by all metrics. We have less inventory, more in contract, so that just means the velocity at which the houses are turning is very, very strong. And we're still seeing list prices higher, median sales prices higher. A lot of that is being driven by the new construction prices. And I know if you live in Tenafly, you feel like there's so many new constructions. There's not actually a lot of new constructions happening, but what has happened and what continues to happen is that the prices of land continue to go up significantly. So the good news for anybody who lives in a town like Tenafly, where the prices of just buying dirt rise, that means that the new construction is also going to go up. But when new construction prices rise, then resale prices follow suit. So if your market is being driven or dragged along by the increase in retail prices for the new construction, it is not a bad thing if you're clocking or counting your equity as a current homeowner in Tenafly, because your house price is going to go up as well, because obviously you're going to go up. It's like a rising tide. That's kind of what happens. And the same thing happens if it goes the other way, right? If new construction prices come down, a lot of people who want new construction, then your resale price is going to also have to come down. But that's not what's happening. So you're seeing this very, very strong market. I mean, right now, this data is through the end of June. We arguably should be in more of like a 4-month supply of inventory, but we're not. We're obviously in a super tight market. Demarest is very similar to Tenafly. Demarest and Tenafly a lot of times really do sit together, in the sense that not only will clients kind of bounce between Demarest and Tenafly, but they're very similar markets. Demarest is just a lot smaller, a lot thinner. It doesn't grab the headlines quite as much as Tenafly as far as like price is concerned, but it's still very high up there. It only has 2 months of inventory. Supply is super tight. Days on the market are low. And when something does hit the market, and it's right, and it's priced right and marketed right, all those, beautiful things sort of like hit, then you're still seeing a very, very strong market. However, there's definitely product if you're on the MLS and you're looking at it regularly, where, if it's not right price, the buyers are going to say no. I mean, and this is just interesting, and maybe it's really obvious, but it's not that anything sells in these markets. It's not like that. It's not throw your house up for whatever price you want, and no matter what, because there's not a lot of inventory, you're just going to sell. That's not it. There are homes that are coming off the market or homes that are sitting, and those sellers are making a very concerted decision that they're only selling at a certain price, and therefore they don't have to sell, so they'll pull their house off the market. So Oradell, let's talk about Oradell. We have a great team in Oradell, which is why I pulled Oradell as well. So our team does cover all of northern New Jersey, and Oradell is absolutely the most heated market in this report. Homes are like flying off the shelves. So 16 days is back to like COVID days, like 16 days on the market before your house goes in to an accepted bid is wildly fast. It's 3 times faster than the other towns we were looking at, and $62,000 above list price. So the question, I think, is, are all of these towns adopting the strategy that the list price is the start price? I mean, that is the question. So if you were to travel into like Ridgewood or Glen Rock, those areas, that was more common for those areas. Like that was always their strategy, right? Like list price was the start price. In our part of Bergen County, I say our because I live in Tenafly, it wasn't always like that, but it's becoming more and more like that because other sellers are seeing success from that type of a strategy, and they feel comfortable that pricing their house up under that fair market value number is going to get them ultimately more money for their house. So there's all different types of pricing strategies that we review with our clients when we're speaking with them. All right, let's take a look at Hackensack. So Hackensack is much more of a balanced market. 3 months of inventory is probably a good indication of a balanced market. And again, I'm really just looking here at, condo co-op market here. 43 days on the market, 3 to 4 months of inventory. It kind of means that like there's neither buyer or seller that has a hold on the market. So it's like maybe more of a neutral market. Pricing in these markets does become even more critical because buyers do feel like they have more room to negotiate. So there's strong marketing differentials when you're listing in a crowd that is, in a market where there's a lot of inventory. Things definitely need to be looked at the right way. All right, Cresskill. So Cresskill is very interesting, you guys. If you're not familiar with Bergen County, our towns are literally like 10 minutes from one another. We have 20 zip codes in the course of 15 minutes. I'm exaggerating, but it's very, very close. Boom, boom, boom. What is going on here? So Cresskill data is signaling more of a meaningful shift despite, and this is what's so nuanced about this market, despite the fact that houses are still selling $36,000 above ask, but it has 5.14 months of supply. Now, when you do dig into the data, you'll see that a lot of this data, a lot of these homes, this 5.14 months, are sitting in upper price points. Cresskill happens to have a big area that has large properties with large homes, and they're on the older side. And that is a very hard pill for a buyer to swallow right now because the bigger the house, the more work it is. The bigger the house, the more renovation. The bigger house, the bigger the taxes. And the taxes are astronomical, like $80,000 to over $100,000. And a lot of times buyers are actually buying these houses and they're not even using the schools. So when you think about buying in Cresskill, I don't want you to think that just because we're sitting with more months of supply or because we have less outward demand, it doesn't mean that there's less demand for your price point. And that is where diving into the data at the price point you're interested in is so important. Because again, if you're looking at this, even though, again, we're sitting with 4 months more inventory than like a Demarest or a Tenafly, not exact, but close, it's still, the buyers are still behaving like they're in a frenzied market, which is where you see this $36,000 over asking. This becomes the nuance of how you price and what to expect is very important here. It's very, very important here. So again, when you find that right house, right buyer, right seller, everything is going to happen fast and probably going to happen close, if not above ask in these towns other than Hackensack. So that is happening. Let's see. All right. I think we are good. I want to always remind, quick town by town comparison. This is exactly what we were talking about. I am happy for you to look at this data. I think any town you're thinking about diving into, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether you're moving within the town you're in, which a lot of our clients do, really understanding where the market is, what the data is telling us is critical, and then deciding what approach feels more comfortable to you, whether you're buyer or seller. So I'm Stacy Esser. My team is absolutely fantastic. We represent buyers and sellers all through northern New Jersey and in New York, and we have a really strong commercial business as well. You can reach me. My number, my information is below. And as always, please have such a happy and healthy, and I hope to speak to you soon for all of your real estate needs. Bye-bye.